In that sense, and because I think you said about previous albums as well that it can be a very insular process for you, the songwriting. So was this one of those things where you just sat in your room and locked yourself up?
Yeah, well, the songwriting was, and I feel like I'm never going to be able to get rid of that. As much as I'd like to, I find it hard to create, for the most part, with other people. I feel like that's such a moment of solitude, and you have to really be with yourself there. And but in terms of the recording, I had my friend Micah van der Linde. She's a member of Stargaze, the classical ensemble, and she was recording a lot of. She's ended up on the album, but she also recorded on a lot of earlier versions of the songs, which didn't quite make it. And at the same time, I was recording her album. I was producing her album with her, and the two albums kind of grew together, and I was doing a lot of remixes. I did like a remix for Paul Weller and a friend of mine, Participant, and Saint Etienne, the band, and my friend I Have a Tribe, and just doing lots of projects outside of it, which were kind of letting me kind of have a bit more of a social aspect to the recording.
Right, because I wrote down as well Cormac Curran, someone you work with.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in Villagers since the start, and he did a lot of string arrangements, and we had a night or two together just with the synthesizers where we just completely got lost, and it was amazing. Yeah, it was really great.
But so you say with the core of it, kind of the initial creative outlet that has to be you by yourself.
Yeah, and I sort of wish it wasn't, but I think it does.
Because I find it interesting. What is that moment like then, once you've completed that and then you have to show people?
Well, I think by the time you show people, you've worked it up so much that you're just so part of it. Like it doesn't. I don't know. Like I'm very slow at writing, and I kind of feel like the final product which I end up showing to people is something that I'm just so, fascinated with, and that I know has got so much work put into it that I'm just really excited. I don't have any fear or trepidation. There's no way it isn't where the direction that I was going in. Like it was always going to be this. So. That's why I find criticism so strange, and because I'm just like, there was no other thing it could have been. It's just, this is the result of a process I went through myself, and I know for a fact that that process was extremely emotional and deep and kind of like soulful, and
Right.
So. Yeah.
And I think on this record in particular, the idea of faith kind of rose to the top. What is your relation to faith now?
I find the idea of faith, like, I think whatever moves you is a beautiful thing, as long as you aren't an evil bastard.
It's quite a big question, but I mean more in because there obviously there's this idea of faith in God.
Yes.
Which Ireland is I think still quite a religious country.
Yeah.
So I suppose you grew up around that.
Well, when I was a child, I used to be obsessed with the idea of God. I used to pray obsessively every night, and I was really like, I would name everybody that I knew, and I would just pray that everybody was together and safe, and then when I was a teenager, I got the opposite way. I was extremely cynical, and I just hated everything and everyone and the idea of religion. And now I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, you just got to take what you can get. You got to take what'll make you a stronger, more open person to people around you. And if that's the idea of God, then that's beautiful. And if that's, if that's creativity, which it is for me, then that's beautiful. And if that's, you just got to kind of take what'll strengthen you as a loving person.
Right. That doesn't make sense.
I believe that, but I don't know why I'm laughing. I find earnestness quite difficult, unless I'm singing it.
Well, that's an interesting point, because I suppose then that's the reason why you sing it.
Say that again?
That's then the reason why you sing it.
That's the reason why I sing, yeah. Because there's so many things you can't say, you know, language being the compromise that it is. And I feel like tones, music and language are kind of a very high form of expression. The mixture of the two, like notes and frequencies and words, manage to say things which words alone can't really necessarily say. So.
Do you remember maybe an artist or a song that kind of connected you with you in this way as you were growing up?
When I was growing up, God, so much. The first one was Lola by the Kinks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was extremely obsessed with that. And then it was just Radiohead for like years. It still is just Radiohead. I'm completely obsessed with Radiohead. I felt spoiled that they existed in the world when I was growing up, because there was just so much to take from it in every level, you know. Chords, music, words, frequencies, production. It just blew my mind. And yeah. I mean, so much. The list is forever, you know.
But so in terms of being creative yourself and writing your own songs and finding that sonic landscape that fits with you and then expressing it, how has that transition been from your perspective, looking at the audience, that they can find something in kind of the world that you have created?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a complicated one.
Right.
That depends for me on where you're at each night and where your head is at, and whether you're fully there or whether you're struggling to be there. And I think when I was writing this album, I was really focused on wanting to play the songs live and just like be able to catch a groove and feel joy with an audience and a group of people. And I haven't gone touring yet, so I'll find out if that happens. And yeah.
Then there's Ada that I want to kind of leave for the end, but let's go into the album title then, because I think it's quite good. The Art of Pretending to Swim, and then I suppose this is about life. This is kind of figuring out how to live in a way. So where did this title for you start?
Well, it was a song. The Art of Pretending to Swim was a song that I was trying to write throughout the whole course of the album, and then it never got written, but words from it kept breaking off into the songs on the album. So it basically like infuses the whole album. And then at the end, once I finished writing it, I wrote an instrumental piece called The Art of Pretending to Swim, which is being released separately. And the idea is that it's kind of the idea of blind faith. It's kind of the idea of we're kind of not, like in life, we're not exactly, it's my feeling that you're not exactly swimming, but you're not really drowning either. You're kind of just making it up as you go along, and that's okay, and it's kind of beautiful, but it's also terrifying. And I feel like that kind of sums up a lot of the key moments in the album. And basically, I kind of like the way it looks written on a page as well, which is my main thing. Aesthetics is the main thing. I don't actually think about it in these thematic terms when I'm writing at all. I have to make this shit up when I'm talking to people.
Okay.
So for me, it was like when I saw it on a page, I was just like, woo! It sparked something in me, and
I am almost the same age, so I've gotten to that period where you kind of realize that everybody's just, like you say, making it up as they go along, and you kind of figure out that when you were young, you think, oh, everybody has the answers, but now you kind of figure out, oh, nobody does.
Yeah.
So it seems very that even maybe it's subconsciously then, but that kind of part of your psyche seeps through into the.
Sorry, say that again.
The part of your psyche kind of seeps through into the lyrics and into the.
Oh yeah, like for me, like writing is basically trying to attach yourself to like subliminal kind of feelings and messages and things that you aren't able to necessarily attach to your, in everyday life, you know. So yeah, I think that's probably the title probably comes from that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Is your creative? It sounds weird to separate them, but is your creative identity very different than from your regular identity?
These are difficult
No,
questions.
I'll cut this one out
No,
because
it's okay.
it didn't make sense in my mind either. But it just
No, I mean it's an interesting question. I mean yes, but I feel like your creative identity is where you put things that you can't express in everyday life. That's why you're creative. You're feeling all these things, and they've got no way of coming out, you know. And this is where you write music or books or poetry, or you know, that's creativity, or paint or whatever.
yeah, fair enough. Then Ada Lovelace. When did your infatuation, if that
When what, sorry?
your infatuation, if that is what it is, with her start?
I don't know. I remember reading about her years ago, and the idea just fascinates me because it's like somebody discovering an algorithm that is actually going to control our lives. Like every time you're on your phone every day, it's because of this algorithm, this idea of a digital algorithm or mechanical algorithm that she kind of put forward is kind of what we're all worshipping right now. You know, we're all like. It's kind of beautiful. Again, it's beautiful but terrifying. Like it's like we're living in Black Mirror land right now, and we're kind of like we've got our heads in our phones, and whatever algorithm that our phone thinks that we need, it's giving it to us, and we're being validated every day by these little computers that, you know, and you know, Trump got elected because of this algorithm, and there's just, as much as it's incredible how connected everyone is, you know, it's a cliche, but it's just, for me, that's connected a lot to the idea of faith as well, and the idea of religion, the idea of trying to find the centrality of our existence. And I think in the song and in the album, she represents that kind of central essence that has the ability to make us or destroy us, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah.
And it's still up in the air which way we're going.
Is that again?
It's still up in the air which way we are going. So,
yeah, well, I think it's.
Yeah, fair enough. But that song, like you said, that there's also a longer version, but it felt very psychedelic to me. Is that fair?
The longer version.
Well, the one I heard, I think I heard
yeah,
a 7.
There's lots of trippy synthesizer stuff going on, and yeah, it's.
Because a track like that, how does that develop from the initial idea to kind of the fully formed,
Just gradually, very slowly. Although with that song, with Ada, there was only one version.
Okay.
I usually record 6 or 7, but this was only one version. So it obviously just felt like it worked for me. And I just recorded most of it on my own. And then I had my friend Cormac over, and we just drank some wine and just put some headphones on and just recorded till 3 or 4 in the morning and just made this proper soundscape, you know. And it just felt really natural and emotional.